Daniel Shafron, who here is a 91-year-old Auschwitz survivor. What's your concern about the awareness or lack thereof of Auschwitz and Holocaust surviving Jews who died in the Holocaust in the educational system today?
Well, my concern is that I don't think they emphasize or teach enough information, and I'm concerned that there are some probably forces that influence the curriculum or the education system that may want to minimize the impact of the Holocaust on the world. There may be some people that may even deny it. So therefore, they are not going to teach it. In some way, they want to rewrite history. My biggest concern is the new generations don't have an idea of whatever happened, and this was just about a couple of generations ago. Mm-hmm. And you know the saying that if you don't know the history, it could come back. It can come back and bite you. Mm-hmm. So it's extremely important that the entire world is going to know what happened in World War II and how one nation of people under one madman can almost eliminate an entire nation that they don't think they should survive just because of their religion or their color or their race. And if the new generation that live extremely comfortable, thank God, they don't know about it, I'm worried that at some point, if something like this ever happens again in any part of the world, they don't know what could happen. They cannot identify any signs that could come if they don't know what happened in 1940s.
Uh-huh. Is there a reason that fascism, because Nazis came in as fascists and in Italy were fascists, is there a reason, do you feel, that the educational system or the people in academia don't want to teach about fascism?
Well, I think that the people in academia probably know what fascism is, but I think that they support that type of a system, maybe not fascism, but they support socialism and communism, and they want to dress the socialism and communism as a type of utopia and teach the kids actually the wrong history or rewrite history or eliminate stories in the histories in order to dress it up and make it look good to advance their agenda of socialism. Mm-hmm. And actually make the system, which is maybe capitalism or call it individualism and exceptionalism, look like a bad thing. And those kids are growing up today, they become voters at some point, and this is a whole new voting bloc for people that want socialism and communism. That's the easiest way to control a country, is control their education.
Mm-hmm. As an Israeli yourself, do you feel that that there's some prejudice in teaching about the founding of Israel as a product of the Holocaust?
I think I don't think they teach it. Go ahead.
Even in Israel, they should put more emphasis in the schools about the Holocaust, and also take care of the remains of Holocaust survivors, and to give him a good helping in their later years, because the state of Israel got a lot of reparation because of the remains of the Jewish people who didn't survive. Mm-hmm. Israel was given
But why wouldn't Israel teach about the Holocaust?
Lately, in the beginning.
Yeah, no, but now.
Yeah, now they do send the teenagers, send them to Auschwitz, send them to Poland, send them to those concentration camps where the Nazis did all those bad things.
Mm-hmm. But is it just a field trip?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm sorry. What I read today was something extremely disturbing. I read that in one school, in Israel during the Yom HaShoah, the day to remember the Holocaust.
Which happens to be today.
Today, the principal of that school decided to bring a woman from Sudan to give a speech about how she is a refugee. And somehow, in the mind of the young students, they could start maybe relating.
To draw some equivocation.
Exactly. So they take away from the impact of the Yom HaShoah, of the Holocaust Day, by diverting it to stories of agenda that they want. Maybe this principal would like to have the refugees in Israel and dilute the population of Israel with more and more outsiders.
Non-Jews, you mean?
Non-Jews. And therefore he's going to try to make them as victims.
Yeah, to show them as refugees, and the Israelis are so cruel to them that they don't want to keep him in Israel. Those are people.
But they came illegally also, didn't they?
That's right.
They came illegally to work in Israel.
Illegally.
Crossing the border through Egypt, and they paid some money to Egyptian soldiers.
And Israel gave them sanctuary, or humanitarian sanctuary, and now...
Now the people have to leave the country because they're not residents of Israel. They're refugees, and they got to go back to their own country.
So this story, where was it reported?
I think I heard it in Israel Hayom. It's an Israeli newspaper that actually give you the news as it is and don't make news like other organizations that report fake news or create their own stories and present them as news.
Which Israeli papers would you put in that category?
Haaretz?
Haaretz used to be center.
No, not anymore. I think Haaretz is an organization that supports the enemies of Israel, and it's crazy for me to even think that there is going to be an organization, Israel, that support the enemies of Israel. These are not enemies in financial. These are not enemies that want to maybe take you down financially. They want to kill you. They want to kill you. They want to eliminate you.
The Muslims do.
The Muslims and these organizations support them. All these leftist organizations in Israel, they support them. It's extremely dangerous.
Are these leftist Jews?
Yeah.
Yes, they're leftist Jews, leftist Israelis. They dress themselves, they present themselves as supporters of Israel, but their entire agenda is actually going to destroy Israel.